Happy Monday. Happy new moon in Virgo. I am caffeinated and prepared. So the new moon, always a beginning of a cycle. It's the time when the moon is in the same place as the sun, which for today is precisely at 6:56 p.m. Pacific time. So right now it's hiding somewhere in the light of the sun, but they're moving together. The beginning of the cycle is this kind of this place of very rich manifestation possibility. The symbolism of it is as the moon moves throughout the chart, as the moon moves throughout the signs of the zodiac, it's starting in Aries, it builds energy, and as it builds energy, it takes form. So it comes out of this kind of formless place and builds into something that is tangible, and it makes it to its most complete point at the full moon. Complete's the wrong word. It makes it to its most outwardly recognizable point. It takes form and moves into this full, like, physical reality by the full moon, and then the energy kind of fades off after that. It doesn't end the thing necessarily, but it moves into a new cycle. It kind of dissolves, and this last part of the cycle, just before the new moon, which is where we're at right now, is this point where the kind of last cycle is fading out into potential, less form, more amorphous potential for building into new cycles. So this is the time where we're kind of releasing and letting go the last of what the last lunar cycle has held for us. And then as we get into the first part of the lunar cycle, as we move past for today, as we move into like 7 p.m. or so, we start to set intentions. We decide that we're going to start new projects or put new energy into something, and that feeds into the lunar cycle for our trajectory. So we set our intentions and we build on those intentions over the next couple of weeks. So there's a flavor to it. Each of these new moons has a kind of unique signature, as the stars are always moving, and there's a ridiculously high number of something in, I can't remember the number. It's some unfathomable number of possible combinations with the different planets and signs and houses and the ways that the planets interconnect. It's absurd. So anyway, there's a lot of different things. Each moment has its own particular signature, but the new moon is a cycle that we pay attention to because it's tangible and it's relatable. We start to focus on the flow of the lunar energy as it builds and as it wanes. And so the flavor, the particular theme of this Virgo new moon is the theme of practice and consistency. So Virgo is the sign of the practitioner, the apprentice, the one who seeks greater skill. Virgo being the sign of skill and work and service is an important part of this. So something that Virgo is known for is its desire to serve other people. Morning, good to see you. Desire to serve other people and to serve some greater whole. So with our own cycle, it's like, what are we paying attention to in what we're doing that can actually be built out to help other people or to just serve the greater whole as a kind of general idea. Whether it doesn't necessarily have to be something like charity or giving to people or offering help or whatever, but it can just be in the context of, it's like, what am I doing now and how is that actually rippling outward? And it can be in any real way. Anything that you do that genuinely improves your own state of being helps other people also, inadvertently. So we have the Virgo frequency, the frequency of skill and building and practice and consistency other important part. The consistency of something, the practice that we do every day, the ritual that we have every morning when we wake up or every evening when we go to bed, the kinds of cycles that we repeat on a daily basis. And Virgo is the one that is constantly improving on those cycles. We set a cycle that works, and we use that to build on to bigger and better things. Everything from, you build the cycle of brushing your teeth at the beginning and the end of every day, and slowly you're integrating more and more things into that repeating daily cycle. As you grow up, you become more efficient and more effective, and more things become just a kind of automatic practice. And Virgo is that frequency. So what are you setting in motion now that can become an integrated part of that consistent frequency? Virgo New Moon, bringing us consistency, practice, and conscious building up of skill. Now, other things affecting this today. One in particular, a couple of others more loosely. The energy of Saturn. Saturn is this planet that it feeds very much the same energy, but in a much more disciplined way, where Virgo is the beginning of the practice, knowing that you're building towards something that is unattainable, perfection, quote unquote, the unattainable perfection at the theoretical end of the line. You're just moving forward toward that unattainable perfection. Virgo is there. Then we have Saturn. Saturn is the energy of discipline per se. It's the waking up in the morning and having absolutely no cells in your body wishing to do things and then doing it anyway. It's the work that is necessary. It's the discipline that's necessary to get you through something that is necessary but unpleasant, or just necessary in general. So Saturn is that kind of stricture. Saturn is also about hard lessons and it's the energy of the master. So where Virgo is the practitioner, Saturn is the planet that rules the mastery that's attained over those many hours. Virgo is trying to put in 10,000 hours to become a truly skilled craftsperson. Saturn is the one that has put in 60,000 hours and has mastered it. So Saturn in opposition to this. So we have the Virgo New Moon in giving us the idea of practice and skill and building forward. Saturn, opposing this, is, naturally an opposition in astrology it's a challenge. It shows challenges. That's what it does. It reveals challenges. So Saturn revealing the challenges of practice, because we always have this desire to not do something, or we think it's unpleasant because we haven't yet gotten to a point where it's easy for us. Saturn is the thing that shows those challenges very clearly. And the unifying factor, as there always is with an opposition in astrology, between the Virgo frequency and Pisces, where Saturn currently is this kind of, in one way, service fits the archetype, but it doesn't quite do it. It's more about something transcendent, because Virgo is not just serving the people around them. Virgo is, in its ideal sense, serving something divine from the three-dimensional world. Pisces is the energy of trying to unify with that, trying to become one with the divine frequency. So the unifying principle between Virgo and Pisces is that search for something divine. So tying that together, Virgo New Moon, practice, diligence, and constant improvement. Saturn in Pisces, the mastery of something transcendent. So the call with this lunar cycle is to get into a spiritual practice of some sort, to get yourself into a kind of space where you're not just dealing with the three-dimensional world, you're trying to improve yourself and your connection with the divine. And again, there's all kinds of ways you can do that. You can do it with yoga, you can do it with prayer, or go to a traditional church, or you can just sit and meditate, or you can create an experience of the divine by working in the garden. However you want to do it, you can turn anything into a practice that is connecting you with the divine principles. And so that's an important theme for this lunar cycle. From now, the new moon in Virgo, until the new moon in Libra, there's this cycle working. And with the lunar cycles, there's also a kind of longer cycle between the new moon in a sign and the full moon in that same sign 6 months later. So we have the new moon in Virgo now, and then from now until the full moon in Virgo during Pisces season. I believe it happens in March, if I'm correct. It might happen in late February, but during the season of Pisces, 6 months from now, there's this kind of ongoing cycle of building a kind of a deeper relationship with the divine frequency, divine principle. And we're kind of setting that in motion in this lunar cycle. Other important bits. Yeah. So I'm actually talking fairly fast today. Usually I tap the phone and it's like I have like 3 minutes left. I'm like, nope, we're not ending on time today, but we are. We probably will. The moon in Virgo, whenever we have a new moon or a full moon in a sign, we also look to the ruling planet. And Virgo is ruled by the planet of Mercury, which deals with communication and information and the ways that we integrate energy. And it is also the planetary ruler of healing, healing and healthful action. It rules Virgo. Virgo being the sign of healing, physical health, and the ways that we use the physical body to move divine energy. Ultimately, let's see, what is it? Cleanliness is next to godliness, and it has not very much to do with the outside world. It has everything to do with this, the physical vessel, and that's what Virgo is concerned with. The health of the physical vessel is the health of the connection to the divine in the Virgo sense. So Mercury, the healer, currently in a kind of harmonious connection with the other, every part of the chart has something to do with healing, but the ones that are particularly geared toward healing are Mercury, the messenger of the gods, and also the ruler of medicine, and Chiron, this small body within the solar system that we attribute to the more psychological side of healing. It's the wounded healer is the classical way of stating it. Through our wounds, through our own psychological experiences, through our traumas or our various learnings in the world, we're able to offer a certain part of ourselves to other people through that. It's not our perfection that helps people. It's our imperfections. It's our wounds and less formulated places. So when Mercury and Chiron come into this harmonious interplay, we have, again, an opportunity. There's a good amount of energy moving where we can work with both the kind of the psychic or the psychological space and the physical space. We all understand that the physical body holds things in it that are tied to psychological troubles. I don't like the word psychological today. I like psychic, the classic. It was before the word psychological came into play. Jung was using the word psychic. So the psychic space and the somatic space, psychosomatic. There we go. So it's a very kind of interconnected healing space that we can get into with this lunar cycle. Full moon in Virgo, the new moon in Virgo, the sign of healing. Mercury, the healer, in coordination, in harmony with Chiron. So it works on many angles. This is a very healthful, very rich kind of space. And it's summertime, at least in the northern hemisphere. And so there's an abundance of very like rich foods available to us. There's abundance of fruits and vegetables. There's a lot of nourishment available to us that we can use for the kind of healing process that we need for the physical self, and that can help us to facilitate the more spiritual and psychic side of things. Also very important, this lunar cycle has within it an eclipse. The full moon lunar eclipse on the 17th. I'm not going to touch too much on that, but because I'll be back here talking about it later. But whenever we get these eclipses, they happen twice a year. And for this particular one, we get they happen in batches, 2 batches per year, basically. The full moon eclipse in Pisces, full moon eclipse when the moon is in Virgo, it's the full moon in Virgo. I'm confusing myself. The full moon in Pisces eclipse on the 17th, and the new moon eclipse in Libra. So the next 2 big lunar days are this lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. When we get these eclipses, we get into a very kind of amplified cycle where the new moons and full moons have their own kind of power to them. It's a little more subtle. It's a little more internal. When the eclipses occur, where the eclipses occur, we get an amplification of that energy. So it becomes much more potent personally, and also much more visible externally in the public, in the visible social world. So we have the new moon in Virgo now. The full moon in Pisces will bring this kind of amplification of the spiritual element of this lunar cycle. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that for now. That definitely brings in other things because it happens in conjunction with Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, this very like deep spiritual, mystical space, this very deep mystical planetary energy. So there's prayer. If I was going to advise one thing, it's like find a space of prayer for this whole lunar cycle, really, and in the Buddhist sense, it's not just the sense of like trying to talk to whatever God you pray to. It's the multifaceted aspect of prayer. For the Buddhists, there are 3 kinds of prayer. The physical, you pray with the body. You move the body in a way that aligns you with the physical world and clears yourself for the rest of the necessary prayer. We have the mental, how your thoughts move, what kinds of thoughts you have, how you pay attention to what your thoughts are, and to allow yourself to, well, in a very Virgoan sense, improve how you think. Whether it's more positive self-talk within your mind, or how you respond to situations around you, thinking more clearly about the world around you, thinking more positively, or at least or even better, neutrally about the world around you, and not not falling into the automatic negative talk about other people or yourself. So there's that mental aspect, and then there's the spiritual where you use things that are beyond your physical or mental, and you're moving into the space of a more classical kind of prayer in the Western sense. So you have these three aspects of prayer, and any of those or all of those can definitely bring you a lot of goodness, a lot of grace in this lunar cycle. So that's that for this healing prayer practice and discipline. All of these things can, that's our new moon cycle. That's basically what we have to work with, and it'll be potent. It'll be good. The eclipse cycles are always very very interesting. Sometimes they're very instantaneous in what people experience from them. Sometimes it's something that sets in motion during the eclipse cycle and plays out over the next several months. But it's always quite potent. So that is that. The new moon in Virgo. Thank you for being here and tuning in from out in the world.